Well, hello, welcome to Jamie TV. Thank you very much for joining me. If you are watching from the future, then greetings from the past. Hello, Jade. Hello, Bo. Thanks for joining me in the chat. If you are watching and are just lurking, please throw something in the chat so that I can say hello. I've been working on this Halloween kind of spooky piece for about a week now, and today will be the last day that I can stream this week, I think, because my kids are off school from tomorrow, so I'll have them in the day and I have a gig tomorrow evening, so it may be a couple of days before I can do another stream. So I want to try and get as much done as I can today, but I'm not feeling completely brilliant, actually. I feel a bit pants, so I'm going to do as much as I can do today. We'll see how I feel. So, how's everyone else doing? Jade, Bo, are we all right? How are we feeling? And what are we up to? I am going to just switch over to this screen here so we can see what I've got done so far. Let's just get all the project in this window. Now, what we've got is we've got this first section here, which is in 13.8. Hey, Sam. Thanks for being here, man. Always nice to see you, buddy. So we've got this 13.8 section here. Then we've got this little kind of, this little gap, like a 1 bar space with a sound effect in it. That's going to need some more atmospherics in the background. And I'm thinking I'm probably going to have some atmospheric stuff before the track starts. And maybe it'll remain in the background in certain places through the track. Who knows? Who knows? I'm not sure about that. But yep, I've been on about adding that part since I very first started and haven't done it yet. So then we've got the 5/4 section here. And the arpeggio comes back in here. Then we go back into the 13/8. I had some problems with that. But I like it now. The problem was it just felt like the two timings just didn't work. But then I changed the bass part and everything seems to be good now. It does sound kind of lumpy and awkward, kind of, but it's supposed to, everything about this track is supposed to be challenging, from the note choices to the weird tempos and stuff. But then I sort of had this idea yesterday that what I could do was, after we returned to the 13/8 section and that section kind of ran its course, then what about if we dropped into 4/4 right here, which, if you can see my my time signature stuff at the top of the screen here, you can see where it changes to 5/4 there from the 13/8, back to 13/8 there, and here we're dropping into 4/4. And I wasn't sure how I was going to get into this 4/4 section at the end, because my thought was, what about if we maybe try and make like a dance, kind of the same music essentially as what's in the 5/4 bit, but let's try and put a dance groove in there and make a sort of a spooky dance thing. Possibly a ridiculous idea, but you don't know till you try it. I wasn't sure how I was going to get into it, and Jade suggested just having this 4 on the floor and then just going into it. Which I think works. Now, I've only got 4 bars here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a lot of content into these 4 bars, but then I'm going to copy it across, and so we'll introduce elements gradually, I think. What I was thinking, again, as I was, laid in bed last night, and I wasn't listening to the track, I haven't heard it until just before this stream when I started setting up, and I adjusted a couple of levels, and I adjusted a couple of where I've got those tom fills from Slammer, real low tuned. I adjusted where a couple of them were placed. Other than that, I've not done anything since yesterday. I've not even labelled anything since yesterday. Right? I've just not had time. But while I was laid in bed last night and I sort of had the track going round in my head, and what I thought was this part here, which was meant to be a bass part, to me, it's more of a melody. I think I'm going to use that as a melody for this last section. And hey, Mateus is struggling to watch my streams this week because work are making him actually do work. It's sad, isn't it? But hey, thanks for dropping in to say hello, dude. Hope everything's going well with your, working at work type situation. Right, so I'm thinking I'm going to use that as a melody, and I'm going to do something else with the bass. And I've kind of got an idea in mind for that. Again, it might be a bit of a crazy idea, but I'm going to try it, I'm going to try it, and let's just see what happens. So, being as I'm intending to use it as a melody, let's get a different instrument. This is King of Bass, I think, at the moment. Yes, it is. And King of Bass has actually got some sounds in it that you can use as leads. There are some wonderful ones, actually. But I wanted to use Tal in this project. I really love that Juno sound. And actually, I've been looking on eBay because I've been considering maybe investing in one of those Roland, what's it called? The 06A, is it? It's the boutique model. And I kind of fancy having one of those, even though I have Tal, which is probably better. I've always really kind of fancied having a Juno. There's no way I could get an original one because, like the old ones now are phenomenally expensive, and I don't have room for big synths like that anyway. But just to have a couple of those boutique, size synths and little Roland modules, anything small basically. I could quite fancy. But last time I contacted Roland to see if they might be interested in working with me, it was basically a very, very polite brush off. So I don't think I'm going to get one sent to me, so I may have to look at getting something second hand on eBay. I may use one of my synths actually in this project a little bit later on. But for now, stop waffling, hippie, and go and grab Tal. Which is here, because I had a look at it for this project before. It wasn't suitable for the sound I was looking for. But I think there's a sound in here that I've used before that I love, and I think it might just be appropriate. So let's go and grab that. Right, so we'll pitch this up. Why can I never go the quick way into the editor? Okay, and I'll just lasso these. Let's change this angle, because some of this stuff I just cannot do in the MIDI editor with my mouse. It either just doesn't work at all, or it's unbearably tedious. Right, let's transpose that up an octave and have a listen. Right, I'm just going to have a little pissy pants around with this sound. I think I'll solo it first. Right, now let's... Dotted eighth delay on the lead will add some discomfort or ease depending on mood. Do you know what? I'm actually really, really shite when it comes to delays. Sometimes I use dotted ones. And I think, yeah, that sounds awesome. But then I question it and question it and question it, and I can never decide. Does it really fit? Does it really sync? And I often avoid the dotted ones, just in a sort of like pissy pants, scaredy cat, not sure of myself kind of a way, which is not really like me. But with delays, I have this issue. So let's try adding some delay in a moment when I've just. In fact, no, we'll do it now. Now in Tal, if you're not familiar with Tal, what you have to do is when you are adjusting these controls down here, because Tal is a very faithful recreation of what goes on in a Juno, but of course when you do emulations of old synths, then you're kind of missing out things like more modern developments. I'm sure there's a better way of saying it than that, but features that you would expect on more modern synths. And so what do you do? Do you stick with the faithful recreation, or do you add some new stuff as well? And they've added the delay and reverb section down here, which I really like. I mean, you don't have to switch it on if you don't want to. But, oh yeah, right, so what I was going to tell you was, when you're adjusting these parameters down here, you look in this window here to see the parameter values. And I like it because it's got that sort of, it could be much brighter, it could be much clearer, but it's got that sort of like poor, difficult to see, not backlit kind of a quality to it. Which, of course, is what you'd expect. Were we back in the mid-80s? Okay, so let's have a pissy pants round with this delay. Right, and now we shall add some reverb. Okay, and now, like a sensible hippie, what I'm going to do is unsolo it, and then we'll tweak further. Now, obviously, I'm not at mixing stage yet, so I'm not trying to get the perfect tweaks, but let's see if we can just tweak it a bit more and make it sit really nice in the track as it is right now. Take that solo off there. Okay. I like that. For now, it's probably going to need more tweaking as we go along. But for now, I like that. What I really, really like in here is this filter. Because, like, what you very often have to do with synths, of course, is it's like any other instrument, I guess. You play around with your sound and you get a great sound. It sounds really full and fat and awesome. And then when you come to mix your track, you need to take out a load of those lows to make it sit in the mix. And it's really, really easy with Tal because this filter, it's just like a one knob solution. A one knob solution. Okay, you may commence with filthy innuendo. All right. I dig that. The drums, I want a dance beat, and they sound a bit bland to me. I'm just going to pull down the volume of Tal in the app itself so that I can sort of attempt to gain stage to some degree. Okay, right, now we'll mute off a couple of things. Let's mute off Tal and the arpeggio. Now, of course, I haven't tweaked the drum sounds at all yet. I've not done any effects or anything. I'm going to do that later. I want to get the parts right first. This drum part, I want it to be more lively. I think maybe what it needs is a cowbell. Where's Russ? We need Russ. Where's my cowbell on here? Oh, let me show you this. Overhead view. Right. So, for anyone who wasn't here yesterday, which is almost everyone in the universe apart from Jade, I think, I was talking about the tempo pad yesterday. Now, I did a good long stream on this, and I've featured it a few times, and I keep banging on about why I think that the Sonido tempo pad is the best kind of drum controller 16 pad type thing with extra buttons on the side, which is slightly out of shot actually. Let me just see if I can move this camera a little. There we go. Right. And the reason for that is because it has this fabulous editor software, which, if I can manage to locate it, there we go. Right, and it has this great editing software, the like of which these kind of units normally only have on desktop. And what normally happens is you have to connect your controller that you want to use with an iOS device up to a desktop or laptop, change all your settings and everything in there, and then connect back to your iOS device, which is a pain in the arse. And what Sonido have done is the desktop software, they've recreated it for iOS, and it's actually better than the desktop version. So I can set up my controller without unplugging, right? Which is really, really awesome to have. So what I've done, I mean, what I'm seeing on screen at the moment, it's not the best shot, but maybe you can just make out that what I've done is I've changed all the, because I'm using Hammerhead, right? So there's only 8 sounds to play with. So all the 8 sounds where they appear on the pad are red, and it would have been great then if I'd just pressed the pad and we had a drum sound, but I don't have it selected in here, so there we are, right? So yeah, I've made the drum sounds red, and where there is no sound, I made it green. My mum used to say red and green should never be seen, but I kind of like it. Anyway, right, so that's that. So where's cowbell? There it is. Let's see what we can achieve with a cowbell. I may need to just turn my cowbell up a little bit. Okay, I can hear that. You have to bear with me. I am like the world's worst finger drummer. Let's see if we can get something going. I think that part might work. I'm not sure. There's one that I'm kind of leaving out, and I'm not sure whether to leave it out or not. I might leave it out every other. Let's see. I'll play them all in for now. Let's take my loop off here, and take my needle back to here, and get that on screen. Okay. This sounds like something ERB would make. ERB. I'm probably being really, really thick, but it was ERB. And welcome to the chat, by the way, beginner stargazer. And Basilis, am I pronouncing that right? If I'm not pronouncing it right, then just call me a stupid hippie and tell me how to pronounce it. Okay, let's have a go with this cowbell. You know what I didn't do? I didn't arm the track. There. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. now we get to go in and have a look at the MIDI and see how dreadful my playing is. It's Bill. It's a Greek name. The beat isn't so good. Well, thank you, Bill. I quite like it. When you say beat, do you mean the track or do you mean the drum part? It just needed something. It was just really bland, and I wanted it to move, you know. And I just think the cowbell might be the very thing. Right, that's the cowbell there. So we just go and select all of those. All right, and I'll go down here and accidentally press that again. And quantize 16th note, I think. Right. For me, it's just a little too consistent. It's just a bit too uniform. So I'm just going to remove a couple of hits. I think we'll just maybe lose the last one there and the last one there. And try that. All right, okay. Well, thanks, Bill. Thank you very much. Right. I like that now. I feel like I have something I can work with now. So we've changed the bass part into a lead part, which means I need a bass part. What I'll do then is I'm just going to, before I sort of get all, you know, uncool and sweaty and confused, I'm just going to label what's going on here. So we'll rename this Tal. And synths are green. Now it is green already, but it's kind of that horrible garage band green. And I want it to be that green there. Hang on, I've got the part selected. That's the problem. Okay, when you've got the MIDI part selected, you're not getting to change the track, right? We'll just go and throw a synthesizer style icon on there. Lovely. Right, now, when I unmute that, is that going to be, yeah, it's the right color. Okay. I just feel better about everything if everything's labeled and the right color, and I know, you know, it helps me know what's going on. Right now here, I'm going to go name regions by track, and then it'll just rename that to what I've called that track. Right, now I need a bass, and I'm tempted to use my Donna B1, which, if you're looking at the camera down there, is over here on my desktop, and it's switched on, and I believe I have it set to MIDI channel 1. We'll soon find out. So I'll show you, if you don't already know, I know Sam already knows, how we can send MIDI to an external synth and get the audio back into Logic. Which is something that when I first started using Logic, I thought you couldn't actually do. Right, so we want a MIDI track, and we'll go into instruments, and what we want is utility, external instrument. Okay, now I'm going to make this bigger. And we go down here to this external instrument plugin. Now, if I press a key on my Donna B1, it's playing the drums. That I did not expect. I suppose because there's a USB coming out of the back of the Donna B1 into my hub, then Logic Pro for iPad is seeing that as an input device. I never thought about that. We'll soon sort that out. So, right, what we need then is MIDI destination. We are going to send MIDI out to the Donna B1, which is listed because it's connected by USB, which is the advantage over using traditional MIDI cables. Yes, Sam, the drum track will be armed, yeah, because I was just recording with it, so, yeah. MIDI channel 1, audio input. So what happens here is, he says, before actually pressing it and testing it, is this is a MIDI channel, right? But this plugin will allow us to send MIDI out to the Donna B1 and hear the Donna B1 on this channel. Audio coming into a MIDI channel. Amazing what they can do these days, right? So if I go audio input 1 and 2 and then press the Donna B1, you can hear, as well as the drums that we're triggering, you can hear my Donna B1, right? So I'll just come out of here and unarm the drums. There we are. Right. But I don't like this, right? I don't want the audio coming back on this track. I want it coming back on its own track. So I'm actually going to select none there. And then I will go and add an audio track. So what we want here is we want the audio that's coming in to the input of my iRig Pro Duo interface number 1. So that's selected. Format mono. That should be bob on, I think. So yeah, that's right. There we go. Bill says, I'm a pianist and not a beat maker, so I'm sorry for not helping. It's a pleasure to have you here, Bill. Don't worry. So I've got the B1 coming in now on its own channel, and MIDI out should be working to the B1. So this here was originally, this melody that I'm using for Tal now, was originally intended to be a bass line. I think I'm just going to copy that down here, and then we'll use that to see if the MIDI out to the B1 is working, and then I'll go in and arse around with it and we'll make a bass line. It is. But you'll notice most of the MIDI notes are not playing because the B1 is essentially it's a bass synth, so the notes don't go up as high as some of these MIDI notes here. So we'll go into this MIDI, make this smaller, lasso around it, and we'll transpose this down a couple of octaves. Okay, right. So everything is working. Now there's a lot that I can do with the B1 sound, but for now, what I want is I'm probably not going to be able to resist doing that while I'm messing around. What I'm going to do now is, oh, hang on, Sam has some advice for us. Faster way to transpose is to use the inspector and keep the notes as is. Oh, you mean like if we go down to here and transpose in here? That's a good point, actually. Yes. It's a good point, Sam. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play around for a few minutes and see if I can make an interesting bass line out of... I'm going to want to hear the drums as well. Actually, you know what? I think I just have everything but the harp and towel in as well. Right, I'm just going to have a play around, see if I can come up with the bass line. I just wanted to check whether that sort of, I mean, because it's kind of a busy bass line, but I think that it works. But I just wanted to check whether the movement I got in the bass there kind of lined up all right with the synth lead, which I think it does. I think that works okay. So let's just, I do appreciate obviously that once you've got that busy bass line in and the arpeggio and the synth lead all together, it's a bit, it's a bit full on, it's a bit madness. All the things do work together musically, but I was kind of thinking that this dance section at the end will introduce the elements gradually, and then maybe at the end, like right at the end of the track, we'll just have like all the madness in together. Of course, I don't actually know how I'm going to end the track. Grant mentioned something about maybe going back to the 5/4 section. I don't know. I really don't know. Let's try and make something of this dance section first, and then we'll see. Okay, so I just want to check the bass line against a couple of things. So yeah. So let's hear the drums and the bass line. Oh yeah, I can't do it like that because I'm using the multi-bus out version. Okay, so what we'll do instead then is we'll mute some things. Okay, so, as I was talking about earlier, introducing the elements one at a time, the problem I see with that is just after this section here, it might just not sound very, I don't know, it might just sound a bit empty. Let's try muting off some of the elements that we might introduce later. So if I take the arpeggio and the lead out. But that's not a very good representation because I muted those things too early. So put them back in, see if I can mute them quickly. I don't know because, right, if I do that, if I drop out the arpeggio and tal and it comes in with like just the choir and the drums and that bass line, then it sounds like a new element. I think it sounds full enough, but then I introduce the lead. Then I introduce the arpeggio or the other way around. I kind of like the way the lead sounds without the arpeggio behind it, and vice versa as well. So like that would be so like this. So I like that, but then I also like this. Okay, it works better if the arpeggio comes in first before tal, I think. Right, so, see you later, Bill. Take care, man. And Sam, take care, buddy. Okay, right. Let's do another little experiment then. So, if I come back here, what would it sound like if everything dropped out except the drums and the bass? I bet I can't I bet I can't mute everything quick enough. Hey Brad, thanks for joining us, dude. Absolutely my pleasure, mate. They're absolutely amazing cables, and if I can help to make a connection between a company and a musician and get somebody a good deal, then I will. It really didn't put me out more than a couple of minutes of my time. So absolute pleasure, dude. Right, okay. I'm gonna run that experiment again. I'm thinking, right? So after this section, which does sound very, very full and menacing, then we have this lull. I'm tempted to extend the choir through that bit. Maybe use a drone note from the choir. Not entirely sure. Need to get that done. But more importantly, I'm thinking that when it kicks back in here in the dance section, then maybe we could go to drums and bass. Just drums and bass. Then introduce the other elements back in one at a time. I'm thinking choir first, although I haven't tried it with like maybe the arpeggio first actually. But bringing the elements back in one at a time. Then what happens after that, God knows. So I'm just going to try and run that experiment again. It means doing some very quick muting, but see what you think. Throw ideas at me. In fact, if you think it sucks as an idea, just say, "Hippie, that sucks." You know what? I really like the way it sounds when it kicks back in, when it's just got the drums, bass, and choir. So I'm definitely going to start with that. And I'm going to do a little bit of copying across and make that happen. And then we're going to see if we can bridge this gap here. So let's just go to this view here so you can see what I'm doing with my fingers, because I can't do this with my mouse because, because the mouse sucks and I suck at using it, and the implementation of it in Logic is questionable. So I'm going to select all of these chunks of MIDI and press copy and drag across here and again and again. And I think that 4 of is enough to work with for now. Yeah, well, that's very true, Bo, isn't it? Because as you know, as some of you will know, my long-term goal is to make music for video games or movies or TV shows or cheesy adverts or whatever. But that's kind of where I want to go. And at the moment, I'm kind of working on putting a body of work together, because I've released lots of music over the years, but you know, songs and different styles, and nothing that would really kind of show what I can do in that kind of capacity. And so more recently, I've been doing this cyber metal stuff. I was kind of working on the theme of that is kind of, I was thinking about music for like a first person shooter kind of a game. And I've got more of that music to do, mainly because I'm just really, really enjoying making that kind of music. And but then I've always wanted to make a Halloween track, and I thought, you know, if I make this track as though it was for like a scary game or for a scary movie. But of course, it is like you say, Bo. It's kind of a movie that's in my head. If I was scoring this for a movie, I'd have like probably a length of time that it's supposed to run for and an idea of the content and everything. So, I guess It Sucks is not applicable because we can't see that movie because it's in my head. Right? So, right, now I'm going to take away some of these elements. So I'm going to delete that one. And this one. And this one. Right, so we've got bass comes in there. I think maybe that could run for 2 bars. It's 8 bars. 2 chunks of MIDI worth. Right, and bring the arpeggio in there and the lead there, which is not going to run for long enough as it is. But let's have a listen to that and see how that works. Okay, I know already what I want to do with that. I want to copy this again. Yeah. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to want 2 more lots of that MIDI. Always remember to take off copy. Because in Logic Pro, if you don't remember to take off the copy, if you don't remember to unselect this copy button up here, then it is the end of the world. Disasters will happen. Right, then I delete that chunk of towel there. Okay, now I'm just going to run this one more time because I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with what I have there. I'm just going to run it one more time so you can have a listen to it and you can have a think about what you think should happen after this section. Is that just it? Is that the end? Does it go back to one of the other sections from earlier in the track? Do I build a unique ending for this bit just here? What happens next? Just I'm going to run it. You have a think about it and throw your ideas in the chat, and then I'll steal them and call them mine. Or maybe, right, here's one idea from me, is it ends like that, and then there's like a sort of a big scary chord, like a kind of a crash on everything, and just one big dynamic spooky chord, and that's it, right? So that's idea number one. Throw your ideas in the chat. V Code. Have I switched my workflow to Login Pro? You meant Logic Pro, but you typed login, presumably accidentally, and I read it as such, which it reminds me of Anchorman. You know, have you seen Anchorman where they say, you know, he will read anything you put on the teleprompter? Anyway, right, so workflow. I don't have a workflow exactly. When people say the word workflow, I think different people use it in different ways. What I tend to take from that is a workflow is a way that you do things. So and you repeat that process every time. And I kind of rile against that. I don't. I don't. I hate it when if I come to do a track and I'm like just doing it the same way as I did before. I want to use different software. I want to learn new things. I want to try different processes and change that workflow up. But as far as have I changed my DAW, no. I'm using Logic Pro as well as Cubasis 3. In many ways, I prefer Cubasis 3. But Logic Pro has things in it that Cubasis 3 lacks. One of them, the most important one for me, being a tempo track. And this being a horror movie soundtrack, I need tempo changes, and I need to be able to speed up and slow down, and I can't create those kinds of changes in Cubasis 3. So that's why I selected Logic Pro for this track. But I mean, I've got ongoing tracks as well in Cubasis 3. The difficult thing for me is sometimes when I start a track, you know, like I might start in Cubasis 3 and then think, I really wish I could do a tempo change here, right? But then when I start something in Logic Pro and it ends up needing lots and lots of real audio, you know, like I'm playing in lots of guitar parts and stuff, when I'm editing and tidying up those guitar parts, the editing in Logic Pro takes like a million times longer than in Cubasis 3. So choosing between the two is the awkward thing for me, but I am still using both. Thank you very much, Brad. Thank you for that. Super chats, massively welcome. Thank you, sir. Bo says to me, the dance section feels like the scene of beginning on a runaway train driving on none. So maybe a crash would follow. Yeah, you know, like that's just kind of stop, like a huge chord, maybe a crash sound effect, maybe an explosion or something, you know. In that space, you should put the scream from Psycho in the shower. You know what? I was thinking about using some, samples like screams and moans and chains clanking and all that. So I talked about that in the first of the horror streams. And I've thought about that stuff. And they, obviously, those kinds of sounds do really help, you know, to put you in the right headspace and help to make it scary and stuff. But I actually don't have any, I don't think. So, I don't know. But I did say I was going to do like atmospherics and stuff last. So, that's to come. Right, now I've got this gap. And I'm thinking about maybe putting like a low drone note or something in here. Now I've got model D and that long I could use that. I could also use one of the choir sounds. I don't think the Sampletron choir goes down to a low enough note to do a drone, but the beat hawk one I'm sure does, although it's kids' voices, so I'm not sure what that would sound like. Let's try that. Pitch that down. Okay, well there's that. I could put a drone in here, and I also thought about maybe just extending the chords, just the choir chords through this gap. Let's have a little look at that. So that would be like if I drag these across, and then I'm simply going to drag those over till they meet that MIDI. And same in this one. That note there's a bit quiet. Let's just go down to the editor and pull that up. Better. Alright. Wonder what that sounds like. Go back a couple of bars. Now then, should they sustain all the way, or should they maybe go halfway through the bar and then hang and just let the release take care of it? Yeah. Let's just try knocking those. Actually, if I go to snap to bar, change that to half bar, I can drag this MIDI back a half bar and we can hear what that sounds like. We're not hearing all that MIDI because I didn't go back far enough. I think I brought that back just a little too far. Let's go with, and it's not snapping it to half a bar because, well, it's probably confused because it's coming out of 13/8 into 4/4. So let's change it to that and see if I can get it to maybe there, maybe there. Okay. Back to here. Alright, I think that was good. I liked that. That worked for me. Now I had that sound effect, didn't I, in the beginning bit back here. Would it suck to use that again? it suck to do that same thing again? Because I just like it. Now then, that's... Right, so what note is that on? It's on an A sharp. Okay, now I know what to press. Let's try it. We'll go over here. If I select... I can't decide. It sounds great. I really like it, but I can't decide whether it's like a really sucky idea to use exactly the same idea in the gap. So I'm gonna just do it for now. I can always delete it later if I just feel ashamed of myself or something. Create a MIDI region. Thank you. Okay, and we want an A sharp. I think it's like halfway through the bar in this one. Slightly different in this one because this is 4/4. So that would be just there, I think. Right, and then a little pause, and a massive scary chord, and a crash, and an explosion, and a scream. And that could be the end of it. Or maybe not. Maybe it goes back into the 5/4. Excuse me, I seem to have developed a bit of a cough. So, yeah. Okay, well, how long is the track? So at the moment, with no sort of atmospherics before the beginning or anything, if I bring the needle back here, you'll see the way I've got my... Because one of the things I really like about Logic Pro is that you do have a lot of control over what things you have showing in the app. Like, I really like to have the time, right? I like to know how long the project is, so I've got that showing up here. You'll see, as well as the beats. I've got the time right there. So actually where this starts, because the tempo at the beginning of this track is so slow, that's already a minute in there. So if I come over here, right, so we're looking at about 3.5 minutes. So it's long enough to be a soundtrack, I suppose. I mean, it could go on and on. I could reintroduce the 5/4 section, but then how does that end? You know what I could do? I could just do that as an experiment now, and then we'll know, won't we? Would that suck? Or would it be awesome? Because, you see, one thing that was on my mind was when I had this idea of this dance section at the end, and then when I started it, it sort of didn't sound sucky, but it wasn't as lively as I kind of wanted it to be. And I thought maybe I need to bring the tempo up then. But I really don't think I need to do that now. So as I haven't had to bring the tempo up, it should be quite easy to put any of the other sections on after the dance section. So why don't I just do that as an experiment now? And if I don't like it, I can ditch it. So I think this dance section probably goes on for like long enough as it is at the moment. And maybe, actually, over the 5/4 section, I could keep this melody part going. There's an idea. It might sound a bit weak without this B1 bass though. Let's find out. Right, so here I need to press on here and add time signature to this window, because for some reason, even though I keep adding time signature to this window here, Logic Pro doesn't remember that. Just like it doesn't remember that I like the track header colours on. I always switch them on every time I open a project, and when I reopen the project, I have to switch them on again. Okay, time signatures. There, we're going to move it to 5/4. What are you doing? It just... I'm going to use this. You suck. I think it's because I'm using my mouse. Bluetooth mice suck. Alright. That was harder than I expected. Okay, 5/4. Kicking in right there. So we can close that. And then we go and grab the 5/4 section. So which is that? That is this part right here. Grab all of that and then press copy. Undo that because that's not what was meant to happen. Okay. Scroll with me. Thank you. I wish I'd put snap to bar on first. There. Okay. Crisis averted. So what would happen then if this went from the dance section into 5/4? Let's find out. Well, nothing, because I've got a loop on. Oh, God. My apologies. Hey, Welton Kinder. Thanks for being here, dude. Nice to see you in the chat. Right, so I'm going to have to run that again. Apologies. Right, okay, for that to work, we would need, I think, for this arpeggio to be present. Alright, so I'm depending on you lot in the chat. I'm not known for my quality decisions, so I'm going to run this, and then you have to tell me whether or not it works going from the dance section back to the 5/4, or whether we leave the 5/4 off completely and we simply, after the dance section, have a massive, scary final chord and explosions and screams and dogs barking and... Oh, hi, Colin. Thanks for interrupting me talking bollocks. All right, so Colin, right. So so I've got this project, right? Okay. And it's a bit mental. I don't know if you've seen any of the streams before, if you've heard it previously, right? So I've got a 13/8 section. Then I've got a 5/4 section and back into 13/8. And then we've got a dance section. After the dance section, I'm considering going back to the 5/4 section. Or just stopping and having a massive crash and a scary chord and all that business, right? So this is an experiment to see whether the 5/4 works after the 4/4. Tell me what you think. Works as a soft landing. Something that just occurred to me. Actually, I've just had two ideas, right? Okay, so on the one hand, one idea is, because when we go into the 5/4 section, what we've got is, instead of the B1 squeaky bass synth, we're going back to that sort of warm round model D bass. I could get rid of the model D bass and make it the B1 bass to keep the sound consistent at the end. So the sounds from the dance section would continue through into the 5/4 at the end. And I could also try and make that lead that I've got going on in Tal there work over the 5/4 at the end. So those are my two... Oh, no, that's only one idea. Okay, so idea two. My God. It's my age, you know. So idea two is go into the 5/4 section at the end and gradually take away elements so that it sort of just gradually peters out to, maybe just like the lead part on its own for a bar or something, and just stops. So, yeah, I take your point, Colin. I think I like the sound of going out with a bang, right, rather than my sort of gradual fade out idea. I think I like that. But what if this did really work, with the B1 synth taking over from the Model D bass. What would that even sound like? Because it's a straight line. Kind of pants, if we're honest. Let me just undo that move. And instead of moving it, I'll copy that and mute that track. And then maybe that's just what's coming down an octave. We'll join those four together and go in and yeah, those notes are kind of high, aren't they? Let's lasso all those squeaky notes and bring them down. I don't think that bass sound works with a straight pumping line like that at all. It's a sound for a bouncy groove. It's not a sound that works with a nice solid line. So unless I kind of copied this bass part across that I made for the dance bit, but somehow made it work in 5/4, which could be a bit of a challenge, to be honest, but not impossible. So I could do that, and then also find a way to make the synth lead in tal work over this section here. So, I don't know. I'm not entirely convinced. It would be very easy to finish it right after the dance section. My one feeling about ending it after the dance section, is that I don't feel that we hear that lead in tal for long enough. It's like we build that section up, and if I just make it go around a couple more times, maybe I could just make it go around a couple more times and then finish it with a bang. I'm not sure. I think I would have to do some work on the 5/4 section, some further work to see if it really did work. So I think this all depends on whether I want it to peter out or whether I want it to finish with a big angry chord. I think those are the two choices, and then I know whether I'm including that extra section at the end or not. What I do know is that I'm going to... My aim is this, right? So while you think about that, right, and try and solve my problems for me, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I'm planning. So, as I said earlier in the stream, my boys have school tomorrow, and I have a gig tomorrow night and Saturday and Sunday. So I won't get to stream after this installment until probably Tuesday night, because the kids are off school next week. So my daytimes won't be free. So what I'm aiming to do is Tuesday night finish the track, because isn't Tuesday night Halloween anyway? That's my aim, is finish it on Tuesday night. So on Tuesday night I'm going to use most likely lines and speakers and possibly some other audio thing apps, because they're perfect for what I'm wanting to do, to create some atmospherics to use as a little introduction and sounds in the background and stuff. So I want to have the track kind of complete for then. So I will probably have a look at this in my own time, finish this ending off, and have the track basically ready, something like a mix, so that I can add those elements on Tuesday night, and then after that I just need to mix it, and it's a done thing, right? That's my plan. Does that make sense? I could double the length of the dance section and add some things each time. Right. I think that if we don't have the 5/4 section here, I definitely need to have another, at least, excuse me, I almost burped into the microphone. I don't know why I'm burping. I'm not eating anything. I definitely need to have at least another 8 bars with Tal there, doing that lead thing, and then we could get out of there. Do you know, I think I like that idea. I think I like that idea more than the gradual taking away. And I'm not sure. I think, like you said, Colin, maybe it doesn't really add anything musically to have that there at the end. So I think maybe lose the 5/4, extend the dance section, and then a big finish. Right, so that being the case then, what do I do to set up a play out here? Because I'm going to end the stream momentarily, and I want to play out with the whole track so we can just hear everything that we've got for now. So we'll need to unmute Model D, and we'll get rid of that, because that simply does not work. There's no point piss-pantsing around with that. And so for now, I'm going to select all of this and mute this. Toggle mute. There we go. I wish that wasn't hidden in the menu. I wish there was just a mute button. Right, okay, now let's close my drummer folder up. There we go. So we've got a nice, neat presentation on the screen for you to look at. Okay, right then. So I'm ready for a play. I just move my needle back to the beginning. Okay, right. So I'm going to end the stream now and go and get something to eat, because I'm absolutely starving and my stomach's doing all those, unpleasant churny noises, and I'm worried that you might hear them down the microphone. So thanks ever so much for joining me today. I really, really love doing this. Just making some music, just experimenting and just doing my thing with some friends in the chat, commenting and being helpful, and occasionally telling me something sucks, and that's good too. I like that. All right, so as I say, I think that this will be my last stream doing this for a few days, and I'm aiming to do a stream again on Tuesday night, add the atmospherics, and have a pretty much finished track at that point, ready for mixing and stuff. All right, so thanks ever so much for joining me. Have a fabulous rest of your day. Please do just stick around long enough to just hear the track play out, so you can hear what we've got so far. All right, make lots of music, be kind to each other, and try not to piss pants about. I'll see you later.